Tens of thousands of protesters marched through London and central Madrid on Saturday in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. Presidential and vice presidential candidate peer number 2, Prabowo Subianto Gibran Rakabuming Raka, still leads the real count of 2024 presidential election results as of today. Host David Tennant kicked off the BAFTA Awards with humor, bringing Michael Sheen's dog, Mark Ruffalo, in a stage catch about dog sitting. Hello, I'm Valerina Daniel, and you're watching Focus Today on TVRI World live from Indonesia. Let's begin with our first report. The Palestinian death toll from the ongoing Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip has exceeded 28,800, the Gaza-based health ministry said on Saturday.
The ministry said that the Israeli army killed 83 Palestinians and wounded 125 others during the past 24 hours, bringing the total number of deaths to 28,858 and injuries around 68,700 since the Israel-Hamas conflict broke out on October 7, 2023. According to the Palestinian news agency, the Israeli army intensively bombed Gaza City in the north and Rafah City in the south of the Gaza Strip from Friday night to Saturday morning, killing at least 16 people. The Israeli army also intensively bombed the Nusayrat refugee camp, Deir al-Balah City, and other places in the central Gaza Strip on Saturday, causing at least 40 deaths and dozens of injuries, reported the state-run Palestine team.
On Sunday, Palestinians in Rafah mourned 10 people killed in Israeli airstrikes on Rafah and Khan Yunis. Meanwhile, Israeli force killed 2 Palestinians during a raid in the Israeli-occupied West Bank city of Tulkarm on Sunday, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry.
People prayed near the bodies at Rafah's Abu Yosef al-Najjar hospital. The Israeli military said on Sunday that it killed dozens of Palestinian militants and seized a large amount of weapons in fighting throughout the Gaza Strip over the past day. Israel has been focusing its campaign in the southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis, where the military said troops engaged in battles backed by tanks and air support. Issam Alfi, the brother of one of the slain Palestinians, said Israeli forces had surrounded us from all sides during the raid. In a statement with an attached video, the Israeli police and military said an undercover unit killed Mohammed Alfi during clashes in which several other gunmen were shot, and one of them fatally. An Israeli soldier was seriously wounded, the statement said. It described Alfi as a senior militant who had taken part in shooting attacks against Israeli targets.
Palestinians inspected damage on Sunday following an Israeli airstrike in northern Rafah that targeted a house. Gazans say they are worried about nearing Israeli ground assault on Rafah.
Palestinians inspected damage on Sunday following an Israeli airstrike in northern Rafah that targeted a house. 6 were killed, with others still under rubble following the strike, according to Ministry of Health in Hamasran, Gaza. The Israeli military said on Sunday that it killed dozens of Palestinian militants and seized a large number of weapons in fighting throughout the Gaza Strip over the past day. Gazans displaced in Rafah tent camps on Sunday voiced their concern regarding the nearing Israeli ground assault on Rafah. Residents already struggling with food, water, shelter, and with to hold wondered where they could go next, being cramped up so close to Egypt's border. Israel's assault on Gaza began in the north and has moved south as Palestinians have fled, many crammed into tents around southern cities including Khan Yunis and Rafah, the Gaza-Egypt border town which is the only crossing not controlled by Israel.
Injured Palestinians' children brought to Gaza's Al-Aqsa hospital following Israel's air and ground offensive. Video released on Saturday by the Palestine Red Crescent Society showed medics transporting injured children to Gaza's Al-Aqsa hospital. The organization said that the people were injured in shelling in Gaza's Deir al-Balah. Israel's air and ground offensive has devastated much of Gaza and forced nearly all of its inhabitants from their homes. Palestinian health authorities say 28,858 people, mostly civilians, Egypt is building a large cement fence in Rafah near its border with Gaza, which it says will be a logistic zone to receive aid for Gaza. Footage taken on Saturday showed cranes, bulldozers, and workers as more blocks were added to the long fence under construction. Commenting on the construction activity seen around the border, Egypt's Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry said that this is very hypothetical. Separately, the governor of North Sinai said on February 17 that the armed forces were establishing a logistic zone to receive aid for Gaza. The area being established includes parking areas for trucks, warehouses, administrative offices, and accommodation for drivers, the governor said. President of the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, has urged all relevant parties in the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict to respect international humanitarian law to ensure the protection of civilians.
In an interview with media in Munich, Germany, Mirjana Spoljaric-Egger, president of the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, urged all relevant parties in the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict to respect international humanitarian law to ensure the protections of civilians.
War is not a lawless space. You're not allowed to do everything you want in a war situation. You cannot win a war at all costs at the expense of the civilian population. You cannot dehumanize the other side.
She added all parties should learn that humanity is the same set of values that all religions, all societies, all nations carry and share, which is enshrined in the UN Charter and the Geneva Conventions.
About 100 demonstrators gathered outside the Argentine Foreign Ministry in Buenos Aires to protest the president's upcoming trip to Israel.
Scuffles sporadically broke out between demonstrators and police officers. London's Metropolitan Police reported that 10 protesters had been arrested in a post on the social media site X. A police officer at the scene said that as many as 30,000 people were taking part in the protest to demand an end to Israel's war with Hamas in Gaza. The Spanish and Irish prime ministers have asked the European Commission on Wednesday to urgently review whether Israel is complying with its human rights obligations in Gaza, as international pressure continues to grow for Israel to hold off on an assault on the densely populated southern border city of Rafah. Israeli plans to storm Rafah have prompted international concern that such actions would sharply worsen the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
Presidential and vice presidential candidate pair number 2, Prabowo Subianto Gibran Rakabuming Raka, still leads the real count of the 2024 presidential election results as of today.
As of 7:05 a.m. today, real count updates show that presidential and vice presidential candidate pair number 2, Prabowo Gibran, led the majority of the votes. According to the latest real count updates by the General Elections Commission or KPU, as of this morning, the vote counting has covered 70.47%, or more than 580,000 polling stations out of a total of 823,236 polling stations. Candidate pair number 2, Prabowo Gibran, is still leading with 58.31% of votes, increased from previously 57.31%. Candidate pair number 1, Anies Baswedan Mohaimin Iskandar, secured 24.35% of votes, while candidate pair number 3, Ganjar Pranowo Mahfud MD, at third position with 17.34%.
Member of the General Elections Commission KPU, Betty Idrus, said that C1 document which listed the results of the 2024 presidential election from 64.8% polling stations across Indonesia has been inputted in the Recapitulation Information System application called Sirekap.
KPU Commissioner Betty Epsilon Idrus said that as of 12 p.m. on February 17, 2024, the C1 document which listed the result of the 2024 presidential election from 64.8% polling stations of a total 823,236 polling stations across the country has been submitted in the Recapitulation Information System application called Sirekap. This equals with 533,435 polling stations. The C1 document data is manually cross-checked by the local poll administrators or KPPS. Betty said this is done because there was previously mismatch between the results in polling stations and the data entered into Sirekap application. Not only the results of the presidential election, local polling administrators or KPPS have also entered data on results of the legislative election from 402,911 polling stations.
Sampai saat ini kalau kita
The Prosperous Justice Party, or PKS, has asked the General Elections Commission, KPU, to correct results of the vote recapitulation on the official website of the General Elections Commission, KPU.
Chairman of the Prosperous Justice Party, PKS faction in the House of Representatives, DPR, Jazuli Juwaini, said in Jakarta that his party had received a lot of information from the public that a part of the real count data uploaded in the KPU's official website was incorrect. Jazuli Juwaini therefore urged KPU to evaluate the current recapitulation results and correct the incorrect data on vote count. He warned that if the incorrect data is not corrected, it will damage the reliability of the 2024 election results. Jazuli said that the problem of the incorrect data, especially related with votes gained by a political party, could harm the integrity of the election results. According to him, every vote obtained by political parties is highly valuable because it will determine the number of seats they receive in the House. Therefore, KPU must ensure the accuracy and validity of the accounting system.
Indonesian citizens recently elected a new president and vice president, members of the House of Representatives, Legislative Council for Provinces and Regencies, and Regional Representative Council, or DPD, for the 2024-2029 term.
The KPU Regulation Number 3, Year 2022 regulates the stages and schedule for 2024 elections, including if the presidential election has to be carried out in 2 rounds. According to the rule, the KPU will hold the second round of presidential election if no presidential ticket wins over 50% of the votes. Since last Thursday, the KPU has been counting votes coming from home and overseas and is scheduled to complete the process on March 20th, 2024. The KPU will announce the official result of the presidential and vice presidential election in 3 days at the latest, after it accepts a letter from the Constitutional Court or MK that the latter receives submissions of election result disputes. The KPU Regulation Number 3, Year 2022 shows that the President and Vice President-elect for the 2024 to 2029 term will be inaugurated on October 20th, 2024. Prior to the presidential inauguration, on October 1st, 2024, new members of DPD and DPR will take their oath. Meanwhile, inauguration schedule for new members of DPRD at city and regency level, as well as provincial, will be adjusted according to the end term of their predecessors.
Constitutional Court or MK Judge Arsul Sani has promised to regain public trust in the Constitutional Court following the court's controversial decision on the age limit for presidential and vice presidential candidates in the 2024 elections. Constitutional Court Judge Arsul Sani said that he would try as much as possible to win back the public's trust in his institutions, as trust is the main pillar of judicial institutions in their line of works. Any judicial institutions should uphold and prove their independency and impartiality, especially when handling a case, he added. According to him, one case can bring down the whole institutions, citing the case of the disgraced former two-star police general Ferdi Sambo that ruined the public trust to the whole police corps. However, he believed the Constitutional Court's spirit of unity and togetherness can help uplift public trust. The Constitutional Court, MK, has been preparing itself to properly handle disputes related to the 2024 elections. Let's take a look at the court's preparation in the following graph. Vice presidential candidate number 3, Mahfud MD, has denied issues circulating on the social media, which mentioned that his relationship with presidential candidate Ganjar Pranowo was not on good terms. Mahfud MD said on Saturday he dismissed the speculation that he is no longer in harmony with Ganjar Pranowo, who is also a former governor of Central Java. Mahfud clarified his earlier statement, which stipulated that the 2024 election is over and now just wait for the final results. He defended that what he meant was that the election day has been over on the voting day on February 14th. He added that the electoral process as a mechanism of constitutional law is still far from over, and there will be legal and political actions prepared. Mahfud also denied that his relationship with Ganjar Pranowo is not good. He admitted that he actively communicating with Ganjar Pranowo, who is also a cadre of the Indonesian Democratic Party of Struggle, PDIP. The Health Ministry reported that as of February 17, 2024, 57 officials of the Election Organizing Committee KPPS, Community Security Unit, and Election Supervisory Agency Bawaslu have died while on duty.
As of 6 p.m. on Saturday, February 17, 2024, the Health Ministry recorded that the number of election officials who have died while on duty reached 57 people. The ministry said that the 57 people, 21 were Election Organizing Committee or KPPS members, 10 community security personnel, and 9 election witnesses. The other 9 people consisted of 6 security officers, 2 polling administrators, and 1 Bawaslu officers. The ministry recorded that there are more than 8,300 election officers who have health issues or illnesses. The ministry has prepared screening mitigation and set age limit for election officers. However, in areas lacking of human resources, elderly people have to be recruited in the ballot count process.
President Joko Widodo has ensured that the national rice supply is sufficient for the fasting month of Ramadan, which is expected to begin on March 11th and will last until April 10, 2024. After checking rice supply at the State Logistic Agency Bulog warehouse in Bekasi on Friday, President Joko Widodo said that to date, there are no problems related to rice supply. According to the president, currently the government is concerned on how to distribute rice effectively and fairly to the markets and then deliver it to the people. President Jokowi has ensured that the government's rice assistance program will continue until June. He added that preparing rice supplies and its distribution, especially before Ramadan and Idul Fitri, are routines that the government has been carrying out every year. Thus, it should not be a serious issue. The Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or Kadin, of Jakarta chapter has asked the government to secure the rice supply amidst the dwindling premium rice supply in modern retail outlets.
Jakarta Kadin head Diana Dewi commented on the lack of premium rice supply in modern retail outlets after planting tree and releasing fish with acting Jakarta Governor Hery Budi Hartono last week in Jakarta Reservoir, South Jakarta. Diana said that the market experienced lack of rice supply because the harvest result have yet to enter the market, resulting in price hike.
Karena supply demand kan ini problemnya. Jadi demandnya yang banyak karena kemarin banyak juga diberikan bansos ya buat bansos. Tetapi supply-nya sendiri memang belum panen nih. Panen baru bisa mungkin akhir Maret. Nah kita kan sorted. Nah dengan adanya sorted kemudian kemarin juga melakukan bansos-bansos di mana akhirnya mungkin karena sorted ini sehingga pedagang nggak punya stok untuk berjualan sampai teman-teman di supermarket, minimarket itu mereka semuanya merasa bahwa stoknya kurang sampai ada minimarket yang menjual dibatasi kan sangat ironis ya kalau bahan pokok sendiri kita harus dibatasi. Ini kan beras nih.
Diana hopes the government will soon produce rice for stock, including a Chinapang Central Rice Market to solve the issue.
The Indonesian Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Supreme Court have signed 5 cooperation agreements based on a memorandum of understanding previously signed by both institutions on the handling of cross-border civil case, legal and request.
Director General of Protocol and Consular Andi Rahmianto reiterated his office's commitment on providing legal aid services for cross-border civil cases. The ministry shows the commitment by developing an IT-based application that is included in the new agreements called Application Programming Interface, or API. API is a digital tool innovation that forwards the cross-border court document between two institutions. The implementation of API between the Ministry and the Supreme Court ensures data exchange taking place is in real time, accurate, and in secured manners. The new system allows both institutions to transform the bureaucracy structure within the institutions and improve the service quality to the people. The two institutions hope they can continue and improve the cooperation that have been ongoing for more than 10 years.
We'll be back with more news. Stay with us on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Devini Hermawan. I will tell you why you should taste gado-gado as one of the most iconic Indonesian cuisine. So, just like any other salad with dressing, the dressing itself takes the major part to make gado-gado really delicious. Here it is, rendang. We just put, this is the white pepper, shallots in, as well as the beef. This is our rendang. Now we can assemble them into a beautiful bowl of soto ayam Lamongan. A simple but special perkedel kentang. The flavor is really intense.
Indonesian flavor with Chef Devina every Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Western Indonesia time.
That's all for today's edition. Indonesia has different culinary flavors, and I will be back with another authentic menu. See you and goodbye.
Open the envelope in front of you and guess where it is.
Wow, is it New Zealand?
Look at that, babe.
It's so beautiful.
Oh no. It's Waduk Sermo in Yogyakarta, Indonesia. A massive, man-made dam with all the beauty nature could offer. Wake up to a warm cup of coffee, have it with a view, or just sail away as if nothing else matters. Any questions?
Babe, can we please go?
Welcome back on Focus Today. Munich security remained tight as the city prepared for the annual Munich Security Conference, which attracts top politicians, military officers, and diplomats worldwide. Meanwhile, several thousand people protested against the Munich Security Conference on Saturday in what has become an annual tradition.
The 60th Munich Security will be dominated by the wars in Israel and Ukraine, as well as fears over the U.S. commitment to defending its allies. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, U.S. President Kamala Harris, and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky are among top officials attending the Munich Security Conference, an annual global gathering focused on defense and diplomacy. Police estimated a turnout of 2,000 demonstrators, with protest organizers saying it was closer to 3,000. Pacifists and anti-war demonstrators were joined by pro-Palestinian protesters. Also protesting was a small group of pro-Ukrainians calling for weapons to Ukraine. The three-day security conference has been largely focused on Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the sudden death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny.
The annual Munich Security Conference saw Trump-backed Senator J.D. Vance and Polish and Lithuanian foreign ministers address the event.
Out in the name of de-risking will make a historic mistake. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi made the remarks to international security policy officials at this year's Munich Security Conference. Wang Yi said the global economy is like a big ocean that cannot be cut into isolated lakes, and that the trend toward economic globalization cannot be reversed, sending out the signal that the door is wide open for international business. No matter how the international situation may change, Wang said, China, as a responsible major country, will remain a stabilizing force in a volatile world.
Russia is China's largest neighbor. The steady development of China-Russia relations on basis of non-alignment, non-confrontation, and non-targeting of any third party serves the common interests of both sides and contributes to the strategic stability of the Asia-Pacific region and the world at large.
Wang went on and said China and the EU should avoid geopolitical and ideological interference, remain partners rather than adversaries, and work to provide a new path for overcoming difficulties together. Wang also said that Beijing will strengthen the collaboration among Global South and is committed to increasing the representation and voices of developing countries in global affairs and contributing to a more balanced and effective global governance architecture. China's presence at the annual event as the world's largest developing country dates back to 2010, giving the Munich Security Conference an international character so that it does not appear to be just a meeting for European leaders and military personnel dominated by Western nations. Well, this year, Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi has continued to do so by advocating China's long-standing position of an equal and orderly multipolar world. Dong Xue, CGTN, Munich.
The annual Munich Security Conference saw Trump-backed Senator J.D. Vance and Polish and Lithuanian foreign ministers address the event. The three-day conference aims to assess ongoing conflicts and potential security issues, seeking solutions while fostering peace through dialogue. Trump-backed U.S. Republican Senator J.D. Vance and the foreign ministers of Poland and Lithuania were among the participants addressing the annual Munich Security Conference on Sunday. The war in Ukraine and the conflict between Israel and the Palestinians has dominated discussions during the previous 2 days at the gathering, which saw some 50 heads of state and government attend, among them the presidents of Ukraine and Israel and U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris. Drone footage captured Indian farmers protesting higher crop prices paused their march to New Delhi, awaiting union talks with government ministers. The video captured the scale of the protest movement, with long lines of tractors stretching for several kilometers parked on the main road, which lead to the capital city. The protest farmers had set camp on the border between Punjab and Haryana states since Friday as movement leaders held off the march until further talks with government ministers said on Sunday. Thousands of farmers have embarked on the Delhi Chalo or Let's Go to Delhi march earlier this week to press the government to set a minimum price for their produce, but they were stopped by security forces about 200 kilometers away from the capital, triggering clashes. The protests have erupted a few months before India is due to hold national elections in which Prime Minister Narendra Modi is seeking a third term. Up next, we have a compilation of stories regarding elections from countries across the world, such as from Spain and Pakistan.
The PP have ruled the region for all but 4 of the past 35 years, and their leader, Alberto Núñez Feijóo, is a former Galician regional government chief. A poll published on February the 11th by 40DB for El País newspaper found that 46% of voters would prefer a coalition of the Galician Nationalist Bloc and the Socialist Party to the PP retaining power. The crowd carried Senegalese flags and scarves, picket signs, and shouted slogans like Macky Sall is a dictator and no to postponement. Sall said he would fully abide by the ruling that invalidated the delay of the presidential election initially set for February the 25th, now overturned. He pledged to hold consultations to organize the vote promptly, acknowledging the council's directive. Protesters filled St. Mark's Square in front of Croatia's government building, waving flags and signs. The opposition say incoming Attorney General Ivan Turudic should resign and the parliament which voted for him should be dissolved. Croatian media uncovered text messages between Turudic when he was the head of a regional court and former official awaiting trial for corruption. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf supporters protested in the capital's Islamabad with smaller protests held in cities including Karachi and Peshawar. In Lahore, police briefly detained lawyer Salman Akram Raja, who contested the polls as an independent candidate backed by the PTI. Khan and his party say that the election results were rigged against their candidates, who should have won even more seats. A severe sandstorm swept across several cities in China's Ningxia-Hui Autonomous Region on Sunday, drastically reducing visibility. The sandstorm reduced visibility and creates an orange-colored landscape around a train station in Tumusuke. Meanwhile, heavy snowfall in Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region, northwest China, caused temporary highway closures for travelers returning from Lunar New Year trips.
Footage released by CCTV showed a thick layer of yellow cloud blanketing buildings and roads in several cities in the region, including its capital Yingchuan. Dust from the sandstorm reduced visibility to 500 meters at some areas. The nation's Weather Bureau issued an orange alarm for the bad weather, warning the sandstorm could continue for a few days. A sandstorm was observed in Tumusuke, China's western Xinjiang region, causing reduced visibility and causing travelers to find themselves in an orange-colored landscape. Tumushuki traffic police officials posted a statement on WeChat late on Saturday saying visibility in the city was less than 50 meters and banned vehicles from traveling on some roads outside the urban areas.
真的10点半才发地的风吹雪天气仍在持续。
Blizzards brought by a cold snap sweeping through many parts of China disrupted highways as people returned from Lunar New Year travel. At least 43 highways in Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region were closed due to heavy snow. Traffic police evacuated stranded travelers and directed vehicles to safety on snow-blanketed highways.
受风吹雪天气影响，造成车辆滞留。交警部门
Heavy rains in western Bolivia caused a landslide that killed 3 and buried tens of houses, prompting locals to recover their belongings and assess damages. Meanwhile, on Saturday afternoon, a 5.0 magnitude earthquake occurred near Acapulco, a Mexican resort town on the Pacific coast.
Locals were seen retrieving their belongings and assessing damages on Saturday after a landslide triggered by heavy rains in western Bolivia killed 3 and buried tens of houses a day earlier. The disaster occurred on Friday night and forced locals to escape their houses to save their lives. Local media reported a woman and 2 minors were killed in the disaster. Around 60 families are now homeless. A magnitude 5.0 earthquake hit near the Mexican resort town of Acapulco on the Pacific coast on Saturday afternoon, according to the country's National Seismological Service. In capital Mexico City, the earthquake alarm caused residents to evacuate, but no damages were reported. Mayor Martí Batres said on social media X.
On Friday, 1 firefighter is dead and several others are injured after emergency responders were called to the scene of a house explosion in Sterling, Virginia, while some 900 tons of lithium batteries were on fire at a battery recycling plant in southern France on Sunday. Also, a peaceful Eritrean community meeting ended with violence on Saturday evening as rival groups clashed on the streets of The Hague in the Netherlands.
According to local fire officials, 10 firefighters and 2 civilians, some suffering serious and other minor injuries, were transported to hospitals for treatment.
That was absolutely huge.
The 2 civilians suffered non-life-threatening injuries.
I mean, what the hell is it?
Crews were called for an odor of gas outside of the home, where they found a 500-gallon underground propane tank leaking.
I mean, that house is gone.
The exact cause of the explosion remains under investigation.
I live,
The fire broke out on Saturday in a warehouse owned by a French recycling group, SNAM, in Viviers, north of Toulouse. Lithium batteries are vital in electrical devices from phones to electric cars that contain combustible materials which, combined with the energy they store, can make them vulnerable to catching fire when exposed to heat, potential danger given the toxic materials their burning can emit. The prefecture said that while the fire was under control, it was burning slowly and was expected to last for several hours. Several cars and police vehicles were set on fire near the Opera Call Center around the Breedweg, where the meeting was taking place. Eyewitness video shared online showed bystanders watching as groups of people set fire to vehicles and threw objects at police. In a statement released online by the mayor of The Hague, an emergency order was issued and police presence was increased after pro and anti-government groups clashed.
Turkey's naval forces released underwater footage on February 18, 2024, revealing the interior of the sunken cargo ship Batuhan A in the Marmara Sea. The 69-meter vessel sank off the coast of Turkey's northwestern Bursa province on February 15th. The video showcases submerged furniture and belongings as search efforts persist to locate the missing crew. Although the officials could not verify the authenticity of the footage or determine the specific filming date. Stay with us on Focus today. We'll be back after the break. Welcome back on Focus today. Lions rescued from war-torn Sudan were released at South Africa's Lions Rock Big Cats Sanctuary. The 11 lions were rescued by NGO 4Paws along with 46 other wild animals who were flown out of Khartoum. Veterinarian Dr. Amil Khalil said the situation was so bad that some of the animals were eating each other. The lions joined around 100 other big cats in Lions Rock. Some have also been previously rescued from war-torn countries. A 10-month war in Sudan between its armed forces and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF, has devastated the country's infrastructure, prompted warnings of famine, and displaced millions of people inside and outside the country. Egypt's Antiquities Authority has opened a new section of the Citadel of Cairo to the general public for the first time, including 2 semi-circular towers, as it works to expand the country's tourism offerings.
The construction of the monumental fortress towering over Cairo began around 1176 AD under the Muslim military commander Salah al-Din al-Ayyubi, who later went on to conquer Jerusalem from the Crusader in 1187 AD. One of the world's biggest medieval citadels, it was the site of the Egypt's government for over 700 years. The newly opened section, including the Ramla and Haddad blacksmith tower, was built in the decades following Al-Salah al-Din's death by his successor, Sultan al-Adil al-Ayyubi and Sultan al-Nasser Saladin al-Ayyubi. It had been used until recently as a private event space and housed army and police barracks.
China's border inspection agencies recorded around 13.52 million entry and exit trips during this year's 8-day Spring Festival holiday that ended on Saturday.
The trip is increasing 2.8 times compared to 1 year ago and recovering to about 85.4% of the same period in 2019, according to figures released Sunday by the National Immigration Administration, or NIA. Amongst nationwide borders, land ports in South China's Guangdong province and neighboring Hong Kong and Macau Special Administrative Regions, or SARS, accounted for 73.1% of the country's total entry and exit trips. The single-day customs clearance peak of inbound and outbound passengers and vehicle flow at Zhuhai Hong Kong Zhuhai Macau Bridge, or HZMB, and Zhuhai's Hengqian Port set the highest record since the ports were opened. Entry and exit traffic at major airports also registered strong growth, with the average daily passenger flow at the Shanghai Pudong International Airport, the Guangzhou Baiyun International Airport, and Beijing Capital International Airport reaching up to 4.9 times, 6.2 times, and 7.5 times compared with last year's Spring Festival holiday.
Moving on to another news, host David Tennant kicked off the BAFTA Awards with humor, bringing Michael Sheen's dog Bark Ruffalo in a stage sketch about dog sitting.
What is this?
Hugh Grant added to the highlights, introducing the Best Director award with lines from Oompa Loompa from Wonka, a film he starred in. Davine Joy Randolph winning Best Supporting Actress for The Holdovers playfully complimented Chiwetel Ejiofor. The 3-hour epic Oppenheimer dominated the awards, securing Best Film and Best Director, along with 5 other honors. The film depicting the making of the atomic bomb in World War II starred Cillian Murphy as J. Robert Oppenheimer and Robert Downey Jr. It was one of the highest-grossing movies of 2023, also winning for editing, cinematography, and original score at the BAFTA Film Awards.
In a charity match titled Football for Humanity, the Palestine national football team won 1-0 against a South African Invitational 11 in Cape Town for the Freedom Cup. The event, hosted by South Africa, aimed to raise funds for humanitarian efforts in Gaza. A significant portion of match day revenue will contribute to this cause. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, a vocal critic of Israel, attended the match on February 18, endorsing diplomatic efforts for a Gaza ceasefire as the death toll nears 30,000, accusing Israel of genocide. South Africa awaits an International Court of Justice ruling. Israel denies all genocide allegations, asserting compliance with international law and the right to self-defense. Sweden's Sarah Sjöström secured her third consecutive 50-meter freestyle world championship gold in Doha, clocking a rapid 23.69, the fourth fastest in history. Sarah Sjöström also secured a record 6th consecutive 50-meter butterfly title at the FINA Swimming World Championships in Qatar.
Kate Douglas from USA claimed second, with Poland's Katarzyna Wasik in third. Irish swimmer Danielle Wiffen dominated the 1,500-meter freestyle, winning gold in 14 minutes 34.07 seconds, over 10 seconds ahead of the German runner-up. Wiffen, also Ireland's first world title winner in the 800-meter, received the Best Male Swimmer trophy. Claire Curzon of the USA earned the Best Female Award for her impressive 50-meter, 100-meter, and 200-meter backstroke victories, becoming only the second woman to achieve this at the same championship. Nick Fink, also from the USA, contributed to Team USA's success, securing the Best Team Award. Claire Curzon of the USA achieved a rare backstroke treble with a win in the 200-meter, while Simona Quadarella of Italy clinched the 800-meter freestyle gold in a thrilling race. Vladislav Bukov of Ukraine narrowly won the 50-meter freestyle, edging out Cameron McAvoy from Australia by 0.01 seconds. Sjöström's 24.63 seconds in the 50-meter butterfly, just off her world record, marked her 6th consecutive world title, joining Katie Ledecky in this achievement. Quadarella triumphed in the 800-meter, beating Isabel Gaucet by 0.09 seconds. Diogo Matos Ribeiro of Portugal won the 100-meter butterfly in the absence of some prominent names.
China's Eileen Gu secured her 4th Freestyle Ski World Cup halfpipe gold in Calgary, concluding a dominant season. Gu, a 3-time Olympic medalist, clinched victory with a top score of 97.00, allowing her to skip the final run. Great Britain's Zoe Atkin claimed second with 92.00, and Svea Irving from USA earned bronze with 90.25. Gu's win at the Snow Rodeo also propelled her to the top of the overall standings, securing the crystal ball. In the men's event, Alex Ferreira from USA continued his dominance, winning his 5th consecutive halfpipe gold with a score of 95.50. Joon Salonen from Finland took silver, and Lee Sung-hoon from South Korea claimed bronze. Ferreira topped the overall standings with Hunter Hess from USA in 2nd and Salonen in 3rd. Acciona Saint Z team secured a first win of the season at the Desert 10 Prix in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Ethiopian runners dominated the 2024 Seville Marathon with Deresa Jeleta and Azmera Gebru winning the men's and women's races. Meanwhile, Jannik Sinner continued his stunning start to 2024 by beating Alex de Minaur in the final of the Rotterdam Open.
Fraser McConnell and Leia Sanz were victorious for Spanish outfit in the second race of the season, holding off Andretti Altakilat's Timmy Hansen and Katie Munnings. Ion Veloce Racing finished third for second straight race ahead of the Rosberg X Racing, or RXR, in fourth. Result moves Assis up to second in the driver's standings, 2 points adrift of RXR. Geleta set a new course record at 2 hours 3 minutes and 27 seconds, and Gebru finished in 2 hours 22 minutes and 14 seconds. In the men's race, Morhat Amdouni from France secured second place, and Gasho Ayale from Israel came in third. In the women's race, Josephine Chepkoech from Kenya claimed second place, while Magdalene Masai from Kenya finished third. The marathon honored Kiptum, who recently set a world record in the Chicago Marathon before his tragic passing. The 22-year-old Italian prevailed 7-5-6-4 against the Australian 5th seed to improve his flawless head-to-head record against the Minor to 7-0 and extend his unbeaten start to the season of 2-12-0. Sinner, who won his first Grand Slam title at the Australian Open in January, squandered a break of serve in each set but recovered with his trademark powerful and aggressive brand of tennis to win in straight sets. The result will see Sinner rise above Daniil Medvedev to world number 3, the highest ever ranking for an Italian.
And that ends today's news on Focus Today. I'm Valerina Daniel. Thanks for watching and goodbye.
Indonesia.